Let's return to our top story now. President Trump calling off an attack on Iran with just 10 minutes to spare. Joining me now from Singapore is Behnam Taleblu, a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. Welcome to you. Thanks very much for being with us here on BBC News. What's your analysis of events over the past 24 hours or so? Do you think that the US and Iran are moving closer towards an armed conflict or moving away from it?
Even if the events of the past 24 hours hadn't happened, when you have two adversaries operating in such close geographic proximity with sustained hostilities for such a protracted period of time, then it's obvious that even unintended escalation could be a byproduct of that geographic proximity and political hostility. But when you look at why this most recent action mattered and why so many were so rightly worried, it was because Iran, which has a penchant for proxy warfare and asymmetric attacks, directly took on a U.S. aircraft and essentially shot this drone out of the sky and was proud of it and touted it, and the U.S. military seconded that Iran has actually taken down this drone. So it meant that this country, which was traditionally not escalating in this fashion, was more willing to take risks. And when you overlay the max pressure campaign against this narrative, and you overlay the history of the U.S.-Iran enmity, then one can rightly see how this could spiral out of control as driven by Iranian escalation.
Why does Iran want to take these risks, in your view, given that they could never win a conventional war against the United States?
That's an excellent question. The reason Iran is trying to escalate, not just in the skies or in the Persian Gulf or in some countries where its proxies are active, such as Iraq or Syria, but even its nuclear program. It's gradually pushing the caps imposed on its nuclear program by the JCPOA nuclear deal, is because it's looking to develop this political warfare strategy against the Trump administration's economic sanctions. The economic sanctions that the Trump administration resurrected have been in place for more than a year now. And Tehran is trying to dull those sanctions, get the administration to slow the pace of the new sanctions, to water down the existing sanctions, and to cease the enforcement of the present sanctions. Ultimately, this is designed to drive America to publicly covet a deal and have Trump water down U.S. positions, water down U.S. red lines, and make America in the position that it was in 2013 when Obama over-eagerly engaged with Tehran and issued concessions to them at the negotiating table and led to the flawed interim and final nuclear deals. So this is Tehran's way of generating leverage, instilling fear, and trying to stop the sanctions from being so successful.
Well, given that Donald Trump has in the past few hours increased economic sanctions, if that is their strategy, it's not working now. Can you see that it will ever work?
Iran has only very few times in its history upended completely its national security goals or national security strategy. And those were times when it was presented with the regime collapsing or coming to the brink or some sort of precipice, such as ending the Iran-Iraq war. That's the classic example in 1988. I do think sanctions can force the regime's hand, but I think that it's going to take more than just sanctions to tamp down on this broad array of malign activities, again, be it in the Gulf, in Iraq, Syria, or even in the skies. I think Tehran is looking to use escalation in all these theaters as leverage and instill fear in the administration and make the administration, in fact, look bad, as some could say was the case when it does back down.
Okay, Behnam Taleblu from Singapore, thank you very much for your analysis.